Hey, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. It is Ali. Where's Ali? Your favorite eccentric SLO-mad. And today, you guys, I have another video for you, you guys. These videos that I'm doing are going to be part of my Hidden Gems series, which you can find in my Hidden Gems playlist. And today we are talking about the none other hidden gem than Thailand. So you guys, if y'all have been following me, you're subscribed, you're getting those notifications, hint, hint. You know that I just did my first hidden gem, my first video to hit the series, which is Albania, which is where I currently am. And as promised, I said I was going to do a hidden gem, same type of video about Thailand. And you guys, this is like one of those places that either everyone's moving to or everyone is attempting to take a vacation to, but you want to know a little bit more about it. And so I am here. That's what this video is going to be about is is Thailand a hidden gem? Should you move here? Okay. So just like the Albania video, I am going to go through a list of things that you want to know before this is probably going to be more of a should I move here list. But these are things that if you are considering vacationing, you're gonna want to know this stuff too, right? Okay, so let's get into it. If you guys, first of all, have not been to my channel before, this is your first time. Thank you. Welcome to my humble abode here in on YouTube. Where's Ali, y'all? I am out here exploring the world. I'm 53. Like, how old am I? 53-year young solo nomad or slow matter, excuse me, around the globe. And my goal is to share my experience with you and to assist you guys, anybody who through my videos who wants to or is considering doing something similar, wanted to get started traveling and or wants to actually take the full plunge. Um, because of my experience, it's not saying that it's unique, but it's unique to me because as I'm going along, I'm discovering and experiencing as I go, but wanting to really assist marginalized groups, people who are not necessarily represented in this space, who are newly represented, who may not have all the resources that you may need or think you may need, and support group to assist you once you get out here on this journey. So that is why I'm here. Anybody can take the information, but definitely focus on those who don't necessarily have access to finding out if this is the right space for you. Okay, so why don't we jump into it, y'all? We'll take a sip of my matcha latte with cayenne pepper or the cayenne. I should let me know if y'all think I should go back to making some health videos. I haven't done any in a long time, but if you know my history, you know my story, you know where I come from, you know that health and wellness is part of my travel journey as well. So anyway, let's just get into it. We're gonna see if we can get this close to an hour. If you know me, you follow me, you know that that is a large task, but I have an outline. So, all right. So, very first thing most people want to know is, and okay. So you guys, anybody who's new, I kind of derived my list of things that I'm going to cover off of the types of questions that I am primarily asked most often. If there are other things that you want to know about that I do not cover in this, or don't elaborate enough on, please leave that message in the comments. I appreciate you guys. Okay, so first and foremost, is Thailand welcoming? First of all, it is the land of smiles. So take that as it may. It is very, very welcoming. And I'll get a little bit more into the social part of it at the end of the video, social implications and such, but it is one of those countries. Usually, you can go to places and you can tell that it's really either geared for the local community or it's really geared for to tourist um, groups, but touristing in a certain element, accompanied by tour guides and things like that. Like they're really specific. Like, why are you, you shouldn't be in these spaces unless you are accompanied with someone. And then there's those places that you just blend in, you fit in, everybody is welcoming, they compliment you, they um, uh, try to speak with you, assist you when you're trying to speak their language with them, all of that. Thailand does all of that. Now, you guys, I'm not ever um, that one all be all. Everything there is no absolute with anything that I say, typically, unless I say it's an absolute. Um, so just know that yeah, there's always going to be caveats to the everything is great commentary. But for the most part, and I've been in 5 cities. One, two, three, four cities. I think 4 cities in Thailand, and I've been here, coming here for 5 years, well, since 2019. So like every year, I'm here, and so I have had some experience in different parts of the cities. This commentary is going to be kind of holistic, general about the country as a whole. But I will start off, or at least kind of branch off and say, keep in mind that each city is slightly different. So while this may be general, I may kind of add in some little nuggets about different places and how what I'm going to say may be different depending on which city you're in. Okay, kind of like anywhere, including the United States. Okay, so yes, very welcome. Number two, everybody asks me about visas, especially those who are planning on moving here or anybody who wants to visit. A lot of times I think typically as Westerners, specifically Americans, we either assume we can just go or we assume that there's going to be a large process, a big process to getting into the country. And so we usually choose not to go. And a lot of times that's predicated on distance. We just assume, well, if it's far away, it's probably hard to get in. Okay, first, erase that logic. It could not be further from the truth. Thailand is one of those places that, drum roll, we actually get free visa entry, meaning that it's basically an e-visa on arrival, meaning that our passport allows us entry into the country without pre-applying and without needing to show anything, registration or anything at this point in time. Right now, as of January 2025, we get 60 days entry without applying for a visa. Then you have the option to extend that for another 30 days by going to immigration. You have to have a certain form that has already been submitted or is active based on when you first come, called a TM30. We can get into that in another video. We have one to show you. And you can get that extended for 30 days. And there is a cost associated with it, 1900 baht, which comes out to about 70 USD, somewhere in that ballpark, 65 to 70 USD, depending on the exchange rate. You'll learn a lot about exchange rates when you start traveling out of the US. You'll see how good or bad our dollar is. Okay. So, very easy to uh, enter the country, very easy, pretty easy to extend. I do have experience with extending in Bangkok and experience extending in Chiang Mai. And I think I have a Chiang Mai video that it may not be on here, but I should put it on here. I may just do a quick edit and throw it on here so you guys can actually see what that process is. Um, if you want to know more about the TM30 or whatever, put TM30 and type it in the comments, and we'll make sure that we'll get that information to you. It's really straightforward, not difficult. But I will tell you that depending on the province, the city that you are renewing in or extending in, they have different policies in terms of how they do it. So, like Phuket, oh, I've done it in Phuket as well. So I've done it in 3 places. Phuket, keeps your passport overnight. Chiang Mai does not get it done instantly, and Bangkok does not. They do it instantly, like while you're sitting there, not instantly, but while you're sitting there. So there's different rules depending on the immigration office. So keep that in mind. So fairly easy. Number three, and these are not in any like particular order, but kind of like precedents, like the things that you want to know right off the gate. So hotels and rent, accommodations. What is that price point like? Because like places like Dubai um, can be really expensive. Places like in Europe, like Greece and even the UK place, can be really expensive for like what we would consider luxury, but is maybe like basic luxury, whatever the case may be, whatever. So you want to know, okay, I'm either solo, husband and wife, couple friends, or kids. And you need to know what that couple is going to look like. So it's important to ask that question. So I'm going to speak about this in terms of long-term accommodations if you're going to stay longer than, let's say, at least a month. Um, rental prices and or accommodations, hotels, whatever, can run you anywhere. And this is going to include hostels, because when I say this number, it's got to be a hostel in your mind, right? You're thinking anywhere from 300 to thousands. I mean, I've seen thousands for basic stuff. Over 1,000, I should say, for what I would consider basic and small, or at least it's accommodating, but it's small, all the way to couple thousand, because people want the amenities that come with it. How do you? And I know everybody's like, well, how do I get that 300? And do I have to stay in a hostel for that? Absolutely not. You can actually get houses for 2, 3 bedroom houses for around 500, depending on where they are. Each city is different. Like if you're in Chiang Mai, it's much easier to find really low housing um, because of the way the city is made, the the design of of the city. Same with Phuket. I think it's easier to find kind of houses as opposed to, because they don't really have high rises. They've got taller buildings, but it's nothing like you'll find in Bangkok. And then in Bangkok, it's easier to find condos, but there are definitely houses and like, duplexes and things like that available. And the way, this is the tip, y'all. This is the 2 cents you want. The way to get those really low prices that people post and luxury apartment for 300, 350, $400, you gotta sign a long-term lease. Unless you know somebody, unless you're the owner, you're gonna have to sign a long-term lease. It's gonna at least need to be 6 months, but preferably 1 year. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, how in the world do I sign a year lease, a 6-month lease, if I'm only guaranteed, not even guaranteed, but the assumption with my visas, Maine is 3 months. That's where visa runs come in, or leaving the country, or applying for longer term visas, which I really didn't talk about because there's multiple. There's I'm gonna backtrack to number two, because I really didn't go into. I just went into entry visas. If you are planning to stay longer, there are a plethora of visas that you could consider. They even now have a digital nomad visa. They have a retirement visa, which is for people 50 years and over. And it's not even a visa, it's an extension, a retirement extension that gives you a whole year, in addition to whatever you already have once you apply for that retirement extension. They have education visas, um, family visas, all kinds of different things. You can check that out on uh, I think it's the Thai embassy site. I'll put the link in the comments. So I apologize. I actually do have a note to say that. Oh, but I missed it. So yes, thinking in advance how you're going to enter and exit the country plays a big part in how long of a lease you should sign, as well as if you're coming with family. If you're coming with children and you're wanting to put them in school, you're going to need a real visa, like an extended visa. You're You're not gonna be able to come and put your kids in school on a tourist visa. Just not gonna be able to do it. So start planning for those types of things. Look it up online and see what the costs and the rules and requirements are for obtaining those visas. But can you sign a lease without having a long-term visa? The absolute answer is yes. They will sign a lease for you for a year, even on a tourist visa, most places. Now, this is the deal. One of the things that we are so accustomed to in the US is we got to show proof of income. We got to show we got a job. We got to show credit score. We got to show, you know, our baby's first pinky toe, all kinds of stuff. Well, in most countries outside of the United States of America, all you need to do is show 2 months in advancement plus your first month's rent and an agreement to sign that lease. Yes, there is no credit score in Thailand. There is no requirement of showing employment. They just want to know you got the money. Are you going to pay it? Are you going to sign the agreement? Pretty easy. And you may be saying, well, how do they make sure that people stay? Because for the most part, we don't want to leave. They really should be trying. Anyway, so it starts to when you travel more, you're going to start to kind of unpack so many of the limitations that have been fed to us, and things that you have to have this in place, otherwise it's complete mayhem. Not necessarily the truth. So, FYI, no, you don't need those things. But to get that low rent, you're usually going to be signing a year lease. Okay. Um, Secondly, what I'm going to say, from condos to apartments, because this is really broad, is that, guys, let me say this first. There's multiple ways to find rentals. You've got your typical Airbnb, which is usually going to be a little tad bit higher, because it is on Airbnb, and why they charge more, I'm not sure, because Booking.com and uh, Agoda have a platform fee of 3% as well, same as Airbnb. Interesting, not quite sure. I think it might be the payment setup because you pay in advance on Airbnb, and so they have to have like the electronic part set up, whereas a lot of times you'll go to places and they want cash. Okay. So anyway, there's Airbnb, there's Booking.com. Agoda is great in Thailand. And then there's Facebook. So social media is a great way to find apartments. Facebook happens to be like kind of the best social media platform for finding agents or getting apartment listings, asking questions about apartments, or who has listings, who has availability. It seems to be like the still the one of the um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, one of the highest kind of ranking, more preferred platforms to go to, that people still use today. And then what you'll find is that, um, certain agencies that we're used to in states like Century 21, Remax, yes, you can find them in different countries. And yes, they actually have real website pages with real listings on them with real apartments for real cheap. So take advantage, consider those options as well. Okay. All right. Number four, food. Everybody wants to know about food, of course, because you want to know if you're going to be full or starving. What kind of food and how much does it cost? Because in the United States, like everybody's still talking about these eggs and how much they gonna pay for eggs. And well, as of right now, you're gonna pay more for eggs. But if you come over to Thailand, you don't even have to refrigerate your eggs, and they're gonna be cheap. So on average, I didn't do like a compare one thing to like eggs to eggs, but I can tell you if you guys want to see that, send me a list of the things that you actually want a true comparison of, um, that is not like a general overall. Because in essence, everything in Thailand is much cheaper, from coffee to eating out every single day. It's actually, you can literally have a meal for 80 cents, um, two and a half or two and a half. like 200, 250 baht, something like that. That's $6. So 100 baht. So 100 baht is gonna be like $2. You'll find on the street they'll have stuff they're selling for 20 baht, 40 baht. That's $1. Um, so it can be really, really cheap. If you want noodles and stuff like that, you can get that for 20 baht. You go to a 7-Eleven. That's the other thing. A lot of times in the US, we consider shopping at a 7-Eleven as like a no. We don't eat fish type food from 7-Eleven. We don't eat food from 7-Eleven. We eat snacks from 7-Eleven. Well, Asia has the corner market on eating, like physically, even sitting in 7-Eleven and eating like it becomes a restaurant. Crazy. 7-Elevens in Asia are the joint to the point where you almost like a lot of people, even like myself, I don't even want to move anywhere if there's no 7-Eleven close. And like, where in the heck are you going to be at where there's no 7-Eleven close? Like, you got to be in the boonies for there not to be a 7-Eleven. And when their 7-Eleven is like a mini department store with a food mart attached to it. So you're got like a whole area of all like beauty, you got all your Korean. I mean, like they literally have the whole beauty section. Then they're gonna have like some housewares and stuff like that, like little knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone stuff, like a little pet section as well, and then they got food. They got food for days, they got cooler food. And then y'all, let's say you in a hotel because you don't have an apartment yet and you want something warm, but it's late night, you ran down to the 7-Eleven, but you don't have a microwave in your hotel or whatever. And you want to get some soup, some noodles or something. You're like, how am I gonna heat this up? They got microwaves specifically for that. They will heat it up for you. Okay. You just have to ask them. Typically they ask you, typically they just assume you want to heat it. You gotta tell them yes or no. Okay. And yes, they understand English. I don't think I even have like language barrier on this list, but I probably should put it. So food can be really, really inexpensive. So I'm gonna give the egg example. So in the States, eggs are easily $5 for 12, a dozen eggs. Easily $5. We ain't even talking organic, and we don't even know what organic or free range even mean anymore, right? Because free range could still be inside a building or in compass enclosed in an area, but just open, so they running around. But anyway, okay, so keep that in mind. Um, in uh, Thailand, you're gonna find a dozen eggs anywhere from, depending on where you are, you'll find them as cheap as like $1.50, but usually somewhere around $2 65 baht, 70 baht for a dozen eggs. 18 eggs is like 85 baht, something like that. So you're spending about $2 for a dozen eggs. Pretty easy. And their stuff is always really fresh. It's like really, really orange. Like when the yolk, the egg. Just FYI, this is a little side note. Um, So the other thing I want to mention, I was primarily talking about like going into the store, buy food and things like that. Restaurants are typically inexpensive, but of course you're going to find, because there's so much growth, so many different options, that of course you're going to find Western style, or, and when I mean Western, I just mean Europe is included in that, where the prices are a little bit higher. You're kind of like, oh, that's like $10 for a coffee. Um, Probably don't have to pay that if you don't want to. Just go to another place, and you're going to be able to find excellent, made right then, not from the packet, food items, coffee, stuff like that. So the other thing, grocery shopping, I'm gonna tell you guys this because it's only two places that I've been so far where I can easily say this, that shopping at the grocery store is usually more expensive than eating on the street. But for me, because I don't like, as clean as Thailand is and stuff, I'm not a big um street food person. I'll try different things, but I don't want to eat every day from the streets. Oh, I ain't one for the street. Although I do get my fruit every day from the street market kind of thing. But I don't want to eat like my food. I like to actually cook my food. I like to prepare my food in my own kitchen. That's just me, and maybe it's because I've been kind of chefing it. I did, food videos and demonstrations, and I also have still technically my lifestyle transformation business, which includes meal planning and meal prep. So, for me, it makes sense to just make my own stuff. But I will say that honestly, I probably spend at least a third more simply by making my own food because you got to buy all the stuff. You got to buy all the ingredients, and not that it's expensive, but you're going to be buying things that you're going to keep in a cabinet and stuff like that. So if you're just there for a short amount of time, eating on the street is probably a better option. All right. Next thing, transportation. Everybody wants to know how the heck am I gonna get around? Because they be like, man, I see y'all on these motorbikes. I ain't trying to get on the motorbike. You are not obligated to ride on a motorbike. You're not. But having that option is really, really cool because when you're in places that have like a lot of congestion, like Bangkok, sometimes how Phuket is in, rush during rush hour, um, even Chiang Mai during rush hour, lunch and rush hour, the main road is like so backed up. Being on a motorbike can save you 30 minutes easy. And it's pennies on the dollar compared to what you're spending to be in a car. That can get you there on time. So the options that you have, they do have ride share, which is a godsend when you're in places that don't have it. Um, they primarily use Grab. Um, what I've heard is a cheaper option is Bolt. And then one of my other favorites is InDriver. But InDriver is primarily found usable in Phuket. I have not seen InDriver used in Bangkok. I actually haven't even tried to use it since I've been there. I use Grab, but I only use Grab when I'm transporting my luggage from one place to another. Otherwise, I use BTS. So outside of their ride share, which is, I think I wrote down about 1/5 of the cost for US. So let's say I'm going 30 kilometers, which is pretty far. Um, 30 kilometers, probably would be 15 to at most $30 in Thailand. In the US, 150. So I'm kind of just doing a like airport to home, 45 minutes, maybe 30 kilometers, 22 kilometers kind of thing. Um, Yeah, that's $150. I know for a fact because when I would come back to the States and it would be late at night, I wouldn't bug anybody and I would pay that hundred and some dollars one way to get an Uber to my house. Whereas in Thailand, I could be taking a 15 kilometer, 20 kilometer ride from wherever my hotel is to the airport, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's 500 baht, which is $12 to $15. Okay, in a car in one of their like SUVs, right? So yeah, it's a huge difference. The thing about InDriver, the reason that I like InDriver, is just a side note, so you know what the difference is. InDriver lets you type in or select, create your the price that you want to pay. It gives you kind of like highs and lows, what's expected. So, you don't put something really low and wonder why you don't get any drivers. They'll tell you like what the average is for that type of ride. But in driver, you typically have to have cash, whereas the other ones, it's like, QR payment or credit card, it's online, you're not walking around paying cash, right? So that's just one of the little caveats with that. But yeah, so much cheaper to use their ride share if we're going to compare to the US. Second thing is they have really good public transportation system. They have a BTS, which is the SkyTrain, and then they have the MRT, which is their subway train. And then they have tons of buses that are dirt cheap. So I have a rabbit card, which I could do a video on the rabbit card as well, how you get the rabbit card, and I use that. That is only good for the BTS line. The MRT is owned by different companies, so you gotta have a different pass for that. But the rides can range anywhere from like 12 baht per stop. So it's like how your distance dictates the cost, right? But so many places, especially if you are moving in like a centralized location, I usually recommend, at least when you arrive in a place like Bangkok or something, that you try to be close to one of the lines, the transit lines. And the one I think that is really the best is the Sukhumvit Green Line. Cuts through my video, just kind of did a funky thing. And then it goes north and then like cuts around to where the other um, secondary airport is in Bangkok. So excellent options for transportation. Number six, healthcare. I haven't used any healthcare yet, but I have watched a number of videos of people who have gone and gotten full like exams, which so I do plan on doing that when I return, and I will give you guys an update. So make sure you click that subscribe button and notification bell so you know when I post information on that. Pennies compared to what we'd be paying in the States, especially if you are not carrying insurance and you are listening to all the mayhem that's going on and you're worried about like, you know, what am I going to do for insurance, especially as a traveler, different things like that, which secondary insurance is so expensive anyway in the US, and you still end up paying a lot. So most people, I believe, who are not like, in some healthcare program already in the States, pretty much pay out of pocket. And that sounds really wild when you're an American. It's crazy, right? And, pay out of pocket. Oh, I'm not paying 5,000, 6,000. You know how many times you can go to the doctor in most places in the world, even in Europe, um, for the kind of money that we spend, even on our copay. Our copay is more, is oftentimes 2 times or 3 times more than the actual full procedure of whatever it is we're getting done. So it's always something to look into. Um, a number of these places are known for medical tourism. So check it out. Um, The other thing people want to know is how am I going to pay? How do I pay for things? Do they take credit card? Do they, because we hear all the time. And I think, I even still hear a lot of this now. Like, I actually just watched a video the other day about someone in Bangkok saying that they don't take credit card. You got to have cash everywhere. No, you don't. Like, I'm like, where are you going? Like, if you're in the city, unless you're going to street markets every day, and even they have credit card machines. But yeah, you get a much better rate if you have cash. But if you're at the street market, 100 baht to take you a long, long way. So it's just something to think about that, sometimes the information share, it's really specific to a person's experience. So this is when like I usually share with you guys to ask very specific questions to what your needs are and try to get outside of the generalization. And remember that many of the videos that we are making are general because it's hard to pinpoint and talk about every single thing, which is why my videos end up so long because I try to cover every single possible and you know, you know, uh, incidents, occurrence of something that, the way that something could happen or how you're going to utilize. I can't do that all the time. So if there's specific questions, ask because, like I said, there is no absolute here. So in terms of payment, they do take credit card. Once you have a bank, you can do the online banking with your phone, and it's like a QR tap. Even for laundry, QR tap. So it's really easy. But I usually don't use a lot of cash. 7-Eleven stores, BTS. when I'm up adding to my cart, I don't have to use cash, I just use it because I have it. But yeah, you can use card, to upgrade. They do have machines as well. I think machines are better for cash. But yeah, any of those options, it's a fairly robust system. Hotels take credit card. But then hotels also, some hotels will give you a discount if you're paying cash. I got a great price at a hotel that I was just at, and I extended for 6 more nights, and they gave me that. I got a $20 a night, rate on Agoda, and usually once you, like, book with the ho like, downstairs, it's especially during busy season, they go back to their original price. Well, they even have, like, the price on the desk of what it's supposed to be $31 a night. They extended me 6 days at the rate that I booked originally, and I paid with a credit card. So, just ask, because a lot of times it's not just a given that you gotta pay with cash. So, um, side note to paying with cash, if you are using ATMs, you're in space that you gotta pay for cash or you wanna do a lot of street food, try to get a card that pays you back. Charles Schwab, I know is not necessarily the greatest for travel because I literally have had some issues. You make one mistake, your card is like unavailable to use, and the hardest thing is to get it reactivated without going back to the States in person to reactivate your card. So you can either add a person to your card that can go in and do that for you, or just be really careful how you use it. But Charles Schwab gives you every penny back that you spend on fees and ATMs. Let me tell you how much money. It's crazy. Okay, so just consider that. All right, moving along. So, like, kind of recapping infrastructure. So, we talked about healthcare, and then really talk about schools, but taking, international schools are very prominent. Things like, sewage, cleanliness, just like different types of access points in Thailand are phenomenal. There's some lows and things like that, like if you get into the more rural areas. But for example, like garbage pickup, they have a kind of a, yeah, I guess a system like a lot of different places where you can dump your garbage, but they literally clean everything. Like it's picked up, it's clean. Uh, you don't have to worry about there being like just gunk and stuff all over the place like some places. And this isn't not indicative of every single city and every province and all of that, but primarily like in Bangkok and Phuket, Chiang Mai, even Koh Samui was pretty clean, except down by the beach where everybody partied. So I would say that their overall infrastructure is pretty good. Um, they do have, you'll see them listed in like air quality negative range. But what's really strange for me is I do not have any breathing issues when I'm in Thailand. Even Bangkok, I didn't have any issues. It's really, really strange because their numbers are like awful. But I do have issues in some parts of the states. I do, and it irritates my skin. And then I do have some issues in like here in Albania, like when I'm in Durrës and I'm in the city downtown in Durrës, can't breathe. Like I get scratchy, my everything, like I'm coughing. It is the strangest things. I don't know how great these numbers are. That's why it's imperative that you come and visit and see if you can manage, especially if you have allergies or your kids have allergies or things like that. You need to think about. Hop in, y'all. Hop in. Okay, so lifestyle. One of the other questions that everybody, how much money I need to save, Ali? How much money I need to bring? You know, my tip is, especially if you're asking that question because you don't travel much or you're just like taking a leap of faith. I'm gonna tell you my strong suggestion, even based on what I did, since I kind of did this backwards. Go back and look at my videos to see how I started. this journey is make sure you have 6 months of your normal US, wherever you're from, expenses put away. And that's giving if you're paying all of these types of things, you know, rent, car note, because your car note turns into transportation, um, groceries, utilities. Take all of those daily required expenses that you're spending right now and bring 6 months of that. And why do I say that? Because you're like, Ali, but wait, you said it's cheaper. I did. But our habits die hard. It takes them it's a long time to change behavior, right? And so when you come to a place like Bangkok that has you have everything, and you're like, oh, this is super cheap, and you're eating out at high-end restaurants every day, it starts to add up, or you get your wine and your beer and all this stuff. It starts to add up, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my god, how did I end up spending 4,000 a month in Thailand?" Right? Because it can happen. It can happen so easy. I also say make sure that, so you have to know your lifestyle. And you may be a homebody at home, but when you get to a different place, you want to explore. So account for that. Are you going to want to do tours? Are you going to want to bounce around, jump on buses and trains and fly to the next city? How many border runs are you trying to do? Understand that system before you do it so you don't like have a loss or get kicked out of a country because everything is up to immigration. Just throw that little 2 cents in there. So make sure you have at least 6 months of what you would normally be spending in the US. And then maybe once you feel like you know that you've acclimated and you're making the necessary changes because you want to have a livelihood that is one third of what you're paying right now, or at least one half of what you're paying, then start to diminish that. And then maybe you'll even have some money left over that you can then extend your stay or do some other planning, so on and so forth. And that kind of leads us into um, the types of jobs. I'm going to skip around. I think I did this the last time, but the types of jobs, because a lot of people are like, well, okay, I can save the money, but how am I going to kind of live? And then even when you're applying for visas, sometimes they want to see a monthly income coming in or a flat amount in your account. You're like, well, how am I going to do that? Types of jobs. Well, you can't come to Thailand and just walk up in a grocery store and get employed and get a job. They don't do that. They don't have like an agriculture, you roll up in a truck and sit in the back and wait till somebody says, I need you. They don't do that. So you're not gonna be able to do that. And that's like they do crack down on things like that. I mean, if they even had it. So you're not gonna be able, don't come here looking for that. Okay. If you are a teacher or you have any type of degree, they will actually accept you as a teacher in their school, so you can come and get your TESOL. I think that's one of the things that, is required that you have. And then if you have a degree, you might even be able to teach in one of their international schools. And I have friends who have done that and are doing that. So teaching around the world, teaching English even, but being an English speaking teacher blows up. So that helps you with how to kind of position yourself, do that. If you're coming over to start a business, understand the implications of that business, how you're paying your taxes, what visa you need to apply for, different things like that, because you have to have a work permit to work in Thailand. You're not going to be able to come over and, I don't know, go get a teaching job and you don't have a work permit. Usually, if you get a teaching job at a school, they're assisting you with all that paperwork anyway. So just kind of have a plan, y'all. Have a plan. Another thing people want to ask us about is weather. Depending on the area you are in Thailand, the weather can have some highs and lows. But for the most part, the places that most people are going to be living is warm to sweltering to rainy season. And rainy season can be on and off rain showers every day or every other day to some areas flooding. Y'all, we see videos all the time, so you can't even walk around and say, "Oh my God, it doesn't flood." They haven't had a monsoon in years, 20, 30 years, something like that. Who can predict that? I always say make sure you have, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of shy away from houses, at least in my early, this is for me, early goings on of, in terms of moving to a place that has potential flooding, is I want to be high. I want to be as high as I can. So I can see it coming, um, kind of thing. But that's just me. Um, so yeah, if you're further in the north, you're going to experience a little bit more of the cold. Be aware of that. If that's your thing, it's your thing. But for the most part, it's warm to hot, with some rain in there. So summer months in the U.S., June to August, are more of the rainy seasons that you'll see, like in Bangkok and a little bit of Phuket. Phuket is kind of going through a rainy season now, which is interesting. So you just have to look at a calendar and it'll tell you like when their monsoon rainy season is, so you're more prepared for it. But again, it doesn't mean that it's raining nonstop, 24/7, because more than not, it isn't. It doesn't even rain all day in most cases. But just understand where you're living. You could be in Bangkok and be in a place that is doesn't have good like water flow, water deterrent system, like it doesn't have good drainage, and be right in Bangkok. So they do have studies and reports and stuff on that. Just Google it to find that information. It's too wide of a space. Like Thailand is actually really big. If you look at it on a map, it's actually really, really big, like from the north all the way to the point on the south that runs into Malaysia. Um, so you want to be aware. You got Laos to the northeast, you got Myanmar to the northwest, so all of that. Okay. What I want to say about weather. There was something else I was going to share about weather, but it'll come back to me. And then cell phones, data, Wi-Fi is cheap and good when you're there. A couple of one of their the main data provider that I use is AIS. AIS is amazing. You get unlimited data. If you're doing a month to month, it's going to range about $12 a month, like 300 to 400 baht a month. Um, but if you sign a 6 month agreement, you sign up for 6 months, you're going to get it for about 300, which is about $9 for a full month, full coverage. And most times you live in a place that has Wi-Fi anyway, so you only need it. And they have Wi-Fi hotspots everywhere. So AIS is one of those providers that also partners with the city, and they have hotspots all over the city, inside BTS, inside certain malls and things, parks and stuff like that, where you'll see a sign and you can connect. So AIS is fantastic, excellent pricing and great service. Yeah, if you go out into the rural area, y'all, don't be sitting up here telling Smiley you said it was great. Conceptually, it's the same thing everywhere. Okay. Go too far out, it's gonna get a little sketchy. Um, we already talked about jobs that you could potentially hold. Let's talk about, okay, so dating, so the social parts of Thailand, the dating. I talk about the benefits of the location that you're in, and this is a question because of my demographic. People ask me, how are Black people accepted? So I want to start with that one. Get it on out. I already talked about it, like how welcoming everybody is in Thailand. But that does not necessarily mean that a place is welcoming of people with darker hue. And that is the truth. It's I like hate it. I hate to even I hate to have to talk about it. Um, but yo, like I told you guys before, Thailand is one of those places that I literally feel like I blend in. Every now and again, somebody like the other day, somebody said something about my hair because my hair is and she was like, "Oh my God, I love your hair." Vietnam, I got that quite a bit as well. But that's about the only thing. Now I know somebody is sitting and saying, "But you're a hue of you're one shade." Yes, colorism is a thing. We're in a space where uh, lightening, skin lightening is a real thing. So to ignore it is uh, irresponsible and maybe you can ignore it. But for the most part, and I think in general we tend to have more issues with other expats. This is what I've heard. People who have like a pompous nature about themselves. I hear about those types of incidents. I'm kind of on the even. I'm like a low visibility kind of person. Kind of keep to myself. Meet people the way that I meet people. So I don't usually run into those issues, and I can kind of gauge if I want to be in a situation or not. And be around people and certain things like that or not. But I have not, that's not something I've run into. I have not experienced that. And I just feel like even the local people, in some of the bigger cities, no issues whatsoever. I mean, like just such kind, good hearted, you will walk away from Thailand bowing. You will be a bower. I love it. You're crossing the street or you get to a corner and there's a guard and he's like directing traffic and asks you to wait. And you wait. And once you wait, they turn and bow to you to say thank you. And when you come in, I'm a person that I have a practice, and that is to frequent the same stores and food stands and things like that. Every time I go to work, go to the same places. They get used to seeing you. They don't know you. They may not talk to you, but they're like, "You come here every day. You come here every day." And they get used to being there, and they're like, "Hello, hello," and you're just like, "Sawadika," "Hakuka," Um, it makes a world of difference. So I think this is one of the places where it don't matter your shade. Um, for based on the local people, everybody's cool. Everybody is cool. So please come. Leave the nonsense, leave the Western nonsense, the way of thinking back at home. So if you come with an open mind, you come with open acceptance, you don't come like outing who, like where you come from, and it should be such and such, then you'll be fine. Especially considering that they're like years ahead of us in terms of technology from our perspective. Um, Something that brings us around to dating and making friends. It's easy. It's one of those places. I'm gonna tell you guys, Thailand is one of the most diverse countries that you're gonna find yourself in. And it's gotta be proximity because it's a place where close to Australia, then you're close to the northern Asian places, and you're right on the border of China. Russia's right there as well. And then you got all of Europe right here, and then you got Africa, like boom, sweltered right. And you like there's so much. And then you got you're sprinkled with some Americans that are starting to pop over and uh, find our spaces over there as well. But yeah, from a diverse standpoint, you're going to get an amazing of people. And there's so many ways to meet people. I still tout meetup.com is still a thing. Social media, getting in groups that tailor to the things that you love to do, that you enjoy, that you would do every day. Go and start do the things that you do every day because the best way to meet people is by doing what you love because then it becomes more authentic. In terms of just how the country, and this is like in any city, I would say Phuket from a dating perspective, even as a melanated person dating. From a dating perspective, Phuket and Bangkok probably were the easiest for me, or at least have the types of options that I'm interested in. Um, but people find different places that work for them. Again, you got to come and see for yourself. Dating apps are a thing too. People use them regularly. I have used them as well. I didn't start actually using dating apps until I started like a year ago. Actually, it would have been 2023. Um, and certain cities, certain countries do much better using the app. So you've got a plethora of things. Organic, I prefer organic. I prefer just going somewhere and meeting people. But I really don't go to bars anymore because I've been kind of cutting down on drinking and things like that. But I do love live music. I do love, those type of cultural events and stuff. And so, you're gonna meet people. Please get out of the house. Please get out of the house in order to meet people. So if you want to know more about that, reach out to me and we could talk about it. And then the benefits of being in Thailand, like location wise, let me tell y'all something. If you are a person that is sitting and saying, you know what, I'm so ready to explore like Asia. I want to go to Malaysia. I want to go to Singapore. I want to go to Japan, Korea, Cambodia, Laos, India, Sri Lanka, Bali. I want to go to Australia. That is so expensive. Once you get to Thailand, like everything is cheap. It's $100 with bags, excuse me, during busy season to fly to and from India. Um, Less than 200 to fly to Sri Lanka. Um, Less than 50 to fly to Singapore. And you need it. The Singapore ain't cheap. Pennies to fly to Malaysia, and you could just cross the border if you want to take a bus all the way down. We also, the Asian countries have a train, like trains that go through. I'm actually trying to get on the train circuit because I'm really interested. If there's anybody who is a follower, listener, subscriber, please let me know if you've ever done trains because I would like to find a train community to explore because there are like, I'm in a group that does a lot of trains and stuff like that, and I just haven't gotten into it yet. So, uh, from ease of access, like all those places, even going to Indonesia, 100, $200. Flying to Australia, this is the best way to get to Australia. You want to pay $2,000, $3,000 from the US. You want to go to New Zealand, $300, round trip, things like that. So access to other places. Oh, and you're from Thailand or Vietnam. I didn't mention Vietnam. Vietnam's right there too. Um, my other favorite place. But any of those places, I mean, it's so inexpensive to get to, and you can definitely, if you've got the time to explore 2 or 3 other countries while you're out and about, especially if you're considering moving to Asia. Because one of the things is you're it's great if you love that area, but trying to get out of that area, bopping back and forth to Europe may not be like the easiest because there's like no real good straight shot in terms and like price wise, it's not the greatest. You're usually gonna go down to like Dubai or Qatar area and then fly up to Europe. So there's direct flight wise, it's not like the easiest path. So you have to think about those types of things. Like if you're a person, you're like, oh, I want to spend more time in Europe maybe going to Asia isn't necessarily the best route. But if you're going to just use it as a base and you want a inexpensive place where you can leave your bags and they have great storage, well, let me know if you're interested in that. I can share my experience with storage units in Thailand as well as an option. If you're still trying to figure out what it is you want to do and you don't want to do a year, uh, lease anywhere because you're going to be moving out. There's tons of options. So location is it's perfect. It's pristine. So yeah, okay. See, is that everything? I think that's everything I want to go. Oh my god, I'm under an hour and I'm under an hour. So excited. Anyway, you guys, please let me know your thoughts in the comments if you have any questions. If there's other things that I didn't mention, because there's a ton of things I could have talked about. If you want me to add any segments to these hidden gem videos, please let me know and consider them for the next one. And then stay tuned because I'm going to post a poll asking you guys which country you'd like for me to do next. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. Would you go to Thailand? Would you move there? Would you go on vacation? And do I think it's a hidden gem? Absolutely. And we'll be back there very soon in another month. So I'll catch you guys. Hopefully, if you guys see me around, please tag me, ping me, wave me down. And let's chat. I'd love to meet some of you guys around the world. So anyway, you guys, y'all know the drill. I'm gonna get out of here. Toodles and noodles, peace and hair grease.